Hola y bienvenidos a la Deuces Wild Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes, and presidente eso mejor cerveza. No abate por No Filter Network. Miguelito San Dieguito, not with us today. Will the Thrill Clark, not with us today. But as you guys know, we not only like to salute our boys, but each and every one of you. Salute properly. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Ah. Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the 12th day of May 2025. And of course, we are brought to you by The Effortless Life Lessons from a Human Crash Test Dummy. If you have not read that book, go to ericbyrnes.com where you can pick up The Effortless along with a Daily Hustle 222 unfiltered life guidance from a human crash test dummy. But do not neglect or avoid this one. This is a must have. Let Them Play, a parenting and coaching guide to youth sports, recently released. All these available at ericbyrnes.com along with the foot reflexology board. So was at the University of Nevada, Reno baseball game yesterday and had a guy come up to me and really good dude. And he's like, Burnsy, is that you? I'm like, yeah, man, what's up? And he introduced himself and he was telling me that he was a baseball coach at Douglas High School. And about 4 or 5 years ago, he was dealing with some back pain. So he saw my advertisements for the foot reflexology board and he went ahead and got one. And he said it ended up alleviating his back pain. He also picked up a copy of the Effort List while he was there and read that. He said, along with some other motivational content, and decided to go out and run multiple marathons. And get this, multiple ultra marathons. Just super cool. That's everything. I mean, that is the reason why we do this. The reason why I do this is what motivates me in the morning when I get up to hear stories like that. So thank you. Go Douglas High. He had one of his players was actually playing for San Diego State. I'm not sure if he ended up getting in the game or not. He was a freshman, but based on how San Diego State played, I would highly advise getting him in the mix. It was a thrashing. The UNR looked really good, man. This is a regional team. This is a team that I think they're the number one seed in their conference tournament, but they can fucking bang. There's no other way to put it. So it's going to be fun to follow their journey as they continue onward and upward in this college baseball postseason. Okay, the Daily Hustle quote of the day. Email just went out a short time ago, by the way. And I apologize for those who were trying to join on No Filter Network earlier. I know I created a show. We were having some technical issues, which we had to work through. I don't know if it was on my end or No Filter's end, but we have it all up and running now. We got a crazy storm here right now. It's weird. I mean, last night, it was as windy as I've ever seen it here, 50-mile-per-hour gust, and it was tough to sleep through the night. Now, the funny thing is, I sleep with Theodore, our pet bulldog, and there could be a coyote 5 miles away with a little whoo, right? And Theodore's like immediately up and whoo, 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 runs to the door the whole bit and sleep with the door wide open. Well, last night I did have the door open and it sounded like a fucking tornado was ripping through the room. So obviously I didn't sleep very much. Theodore, every single time I got up, he's right here. It was amazing. So don't be a coyote 5 miles away because you're going to get Theodore up, but you could go ahead and bring on the hurricane that ripped through Truckee last night, at least seemingly. and Theodore will sleep right through it. Okay, the Daily Hustle quote of the day. Go back into the classroom and tell the teacher you're going to be a professional baseball player and sports broadcaster, so there is nothing else for you to write about. Judy Byrnes, otherwise known as Mom. DH translation. Forgive me because I've told this story before in the Daily Hustle, but Mother's Day always seems like an appropriate time to rehash it. In grade school, we had a career week where we explored different careers and various paths taken to get there. At the end of the week, we got to pick a career or two, then write about what that journey would look like. Naturally, I wrote about being a MLB baseball player and then a sports broadcaster after I was done playing. I meticulously laid out the process of first playing professional baseball, first playing baseball in high school at St. Francis, and then playing at Stanford or UCLA. I proceeded to outline the process of getting drafted and then climbing the different levels of the minor leagues from rookie ball to A ball to double A, triple A, and ultimately the big leagues. I wrote about doing all sorts of interviews when I played to properly prepare myself for my broadcasting career after baseball. I proudly turned in the essay to my teacher and felt it was a masterpiece. Yet, when I got it back the next day, there was no grade on the paper and just a big "See Me" written in the infamous red Sharpie. I just had a flashback to that day because I remember getting it and I'm like, I don't know. I knew it was good. B plus minimum, probably A minus type of thing. I was very thorough with that process, which I think had a lot to do with how we would get graded on our papers, that understanding what it took to get to be a doctor or a lawyer or an astronaut or a fireman, right? That was the whole idea of this. Well, I got the "See Me" in the red. I'm like, what the fuck? So I end up going to the teacher and she says, I need to write about a career that was, quote, more realistic. That's when I went home dejected. I sought my mom's advice, then went back the next day and turned in the exact same paper while respectfully telling the teacher, sorry, my mom told me that so long as I'm willing to put in the work, I will one day be a Major League Baseball player and a sports broadcaster. So she would not let me write about anything else. I remember the teacher shaking her head and ultimately getting some sort of meh grade. Years later, after playing baseball at St. Francis, UCLA, and 11 years in the major leagues, I ran into that teacher as I had just won my fourth Emmy Award for broadcasting. Of course, there was a small part of me that wanted to say, you still want me to rewrite that paper, bitch? But all I did was smile as she grabbed both my cheeks and said, I'm proud of you. How's your mom? My response? Thank you. She's great. I certainly wouldn't be here without her. Happy Mom's Day, Mom. Stay hard. EB. All right. So I know I've told this story several times before. It's in the effort list. And how I keep telling it over and over is I always add a little bit more info or sometimes less info, depending on what message I'm trying to get out. But as I've retold this thing, I think the big thing is that even when I saw her, this years later, I loved her as a teacher. I actually did. I really, really liked her. I disagreed with that. And it was actually, I think, very out of character. But as I've mentioned before, during middle school, I was looked at as a jock. And I was, the best athlete. I was one of the best athletes in school. We actually had some tremendous athletes. Andrew Garcia, Joe Cavanaugh, a couple other guys that went on to play college sports. But I think what she wanted was to try to get that stigma away from me. And she believed in me as a student, which I did appreciate. And who knows, because maybe she just said, hey, it's unrealistic. But I do remember the direct quote to me was, every kid wants to be a Major League Baseball player. Every kid wants to be a sports broadcaster. You need to pick something different. And that, I think, number one, I was just pissed that I had to go write something else. Like, bullshit. Like, I just spent, 2 hours writing this essay and showing you the path that I was going to take to get there. And then now I have to go do this thing all over again. But the one thing that my mom told me was, don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do something. And she said that right away. And that was a message my parents sent to me throughout my entire childhood. And that's a message that I worked really hard to tell my kids, like, no matter what. And even when something seems so impossible, I'm not going to be the person to tell you no. I'm not. You're going to figure out no eventually on your own, but I'm not going to be the one to say no. And the reason being is that I had those hopes, I had those dreams. My mom tells even more stories. She went into Royal Realty. So Brendan and Brian Royer are two of my very best friends in life. Their father, Pete Royer, was working at Royal Realty along with Pete Vesey, who was my dad's best friend. And she walked in there one day. She had to do something. She dropped something off for Pete Vesey or whatever it was. And this is when Pete Royer tells a story where he met my mom for the first time. And this is before the twins and I were best friends. And he's like, oh, this cute blonde lady walks in and, hey, bubbly and really super nice. And next thing you know, they're talking back and forth. And Pete Vesey introduced her to Pete Royer. And they start talking about their kids. Well, the Royer kids were known back in the day as the best athletes in the area. Everybody knew who the Royer twins were. And they were in Redwood City. And I was in Portola Valley, Woodside area. So I'm not going to get as much run, obviously, as these kids. But this was probably, I'm going to guess I was 13 at the time or something, right? Well, sure enough, they start saying, oh, yeah, well, Judy's son plays baseball and he plays football and basketball. And he's this tremendous athlete. And so my mom interjects and she's like, yeah, he's going to play Major League Baseball. He told me so. And Pete Royer tells me, he goes, I looked at that lady, which is your mom, and I'm like, this woman is out of her fucking mind. She's crazy. But she was super sweet and nice. We're like, yeah, whatever, lady. And then she was gone. And then a few years later, I was teammates with the Royers at St. Francis. And then we were teammates again on the Peninsula Mets, our travel thing. And then it was off to UCLA, and I'd gotten drafted by the Dodgers out of high school. And, amongst this process, and I think I asked Pete, I'm like, where in this process did you go, holy shit, that fucking lady was right? So I just found that, I found that really interesting. Now, it gets even better because Pete then lived in Arizona when I played for the Diamondbacks. And quite frankly, he didn't miss many games. He pretty much was on my permanent list to have him come. So it just goes to show you that certainly anything is possible if we are willing to, I think, put in the work, but also map everything out as well. Okay, let's get right into this. This is really, really interesting. This news broke over the weekend. Actually, I think it was like Friday. And I wanted to come on the Daily Hustle on Friday, was caught up with so many other things going on in life. And I'm like, well, let's just see how this plays out over the weekend. And there's a brand new article out from Ken Rosenthal, who is one of my favorite people in the sports media world. And the title of the article is "The Red Sox Should Just Let Rafael Devers DH and Figure Out the Rest Themselves." So this is sort of contrary to what popular opinion is with Rafael Devers. Let me explain quickly and say that Devers was the third baseman of the Boston Red Sox. They signed Alex Bregman, who is much better defensively. Devers then becomes the DH. Apparently, according to Devers, the Red Sox tell him, put your glove away. You won't need it. And then, of course, you had the incident, which it was Tristan Casas gets hurt, and he was a first baseman for the Red Sox. So they go to Devers and they say, hey, can you play first base? Naturally, you would think that the player would say, hey, yeah, no problem. Well, Devers, who obviously had his feelings hurt from getting moved off of third base, says, no, I'm not going to do it. You should not expect me to do it. You should not expect me to just go pick up and play whatever position. And that ruffled all sorts of feathers. Red Sox owner John Henry actually got on a plane, flew to Kansas City to sit down and meet with Devers and Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager. So Cora apparently said that this was Craig Breslow's decision in wanting to move him to first base. And Cora somewhat defended Devers, saying, look, first base is a hard position to learn. There's cutoffs, there's relays, there's all this other bullshit. Okay, I got it. I would say this. Rafael Devers just last year signed a 10-year, $300 and something million contract. So when he signed his name on that dotted line, and he instantly accumulated generational wealth, he's got a responsibility. And in my humble opinion, that responsibility is to play whatever fucking position the Red Sox ask him to play. If they say, dude, we want you to play third base, you play third base. We want you to play short, you play short. Second. First base. As a matter of fact, if they want him to fucking pitch, get your ass on the mound and fucking pitch. You want to catch? Put him back there. This doesn't matter. The bottom line is, when you work for the team and you say, hey, look, let me back up the Brinks truck and go ahead, Boston, load that thing up, you have an obligation to fulfill your contract. And I don't know what, if any, legal ramifications would come from this. But if I'm the Red Sox, I'm like, fuck this, man. And I get Alex Cora is trying to play the middle guy and saying, oh, yeah, first base is hard, there's cutoffs. And really, what's so fucking hard about it? Base hit the right field, you're the fucking cutoff guy. Base hit the center field, you're the cutoff guy. Run out in front of the pitcher's mound, you go like this, here. Guess what? When a ball's hit into the gap for sure double, you're the trail guy. There's little things that you might have to pay attention to, you will have to pay attention to learn how to play first base. Where are my feet when I'm holding the guy on? Other than that, your glove's twice the size of a fucking third baseman's glove. All you got to do is pick a ball over there and either toss the ball to the pitcher or run over and tag the fucking back. My goodness. To be so entitled is bullshit. And I'm disappointed in Rafael Devers. I do understand his frustration because I think this is a guy that wanted to stay at third base. And if you remember, at the beginning of the season, he was fucking terrible. Struck out in like 15 of his first 18 at-bats. Well, since then, he's been absolutely killing it, raking. Even this weekend, after the meeting with John Henry and Alex Cora, he goes out there and destroyed Kansas City's pitching. So we know he can hit. I know he got paid for his bat. But at the same time, be a fucking team guy. Be a guy that really is setting the tone for everybody else, not only on your ball team, but within the entire Boston Red Sox organization. So I love the fact that John Henry said, fuck this, I'm getting on a plane and we're going to go have a discussion. I love the fact that his teammates have been somewhat silent on this. I don't think this needs to be a massive cause of dissension within the clubhouse. But if you don't think his teammates are thinking the exact same fucking thing that I'm thinking, you're crazy. Because every one of those teammates, if asked to play another position, would go ahead and play that other position. Mookie Betts went from second base to center field to shortstop, back to center field, back to shortstop. Like, are you kidding me? We're asking you to go from fucking third base to first base. A normal ask. And whoever said, put your glove away within the Boston Red Sox organization, shame on you. And I don't know if that was the exact thing that was said. I could just follow Rafael Devers' word, but don't ever fucking say that. No, you're 28 years old? You're a ball player. I would say, if anything, go grab a first base glove. Go grab an outfielder's glove. And then, finally, with all this, DHing sucks. It's fucking awful. If I'm Rafael Devers, I want to play the field. I want to play first. Now, the argument would be, okay, you don't want to throw him into the fire. You don't want to put him in a position where you feel like he would embarrass himself. So I would approach it much more like, yo, Rafi, here's the deal. Obviously, Tristan's down. We need a first baseman. Our team will be better in the long run. We will have our best chance to win the American League East, the American League pennant, and the World Series with you at first base. What do we have to do to get you ready? I would say it just like that. And then what you do is you let Rafi dictate it. Okay. Start taking ground balls, early work, every day. Maybe get into a couple game simulated type things that they do a lot at the big league level with rehabbing pitchers or whoever else. But just reps. And then we'll let Rafi let us know when he feels like he's ready. And I'll let my infield coach tell me when he thinks Rafi is ready. So this whole thing is a bit mind-boggling. Ken Rosenthal, I love you, dude. I understand the alternative approach here to try to get Rafi. I don't want to say try to get Rafi. Try to give Rafi some leeway, because there is part of me that understands. Yeah, you paid him for the bat. Yeah, whatever. But that's bullshit, man. It just is. I mean, you've seen guys do it all the time. Kyle Schwarber, this was mentioned in the article. Bryce Harper went from the outfield to first base. And look, if you're a baseball player, you're a fucking baseball player, man. I every single kid that I have on my Let Them Play team, I've had kids say, hey, I tell them, hey, go play first base. Have you ever played before? No. All right, just grab your normal glove. Don't use your first baseman glove. Can you catch a ball? Yeah, I catch a ball. Cool. Can you feel the ground ball? Feel the ground ball. Cool. All right, we'll work with you on that stuff. Go. I've done this in the middle of a fucking game. In the middle of a game. So, Rafael Devers, I'm gonna brush this one off because I believe in the dude, the character. I don't think the Red Sox would have given this guy the contract if they didn't believe in the character. And sometimes we get our feelings hurt. And I think he got his feelings hurt, and this was the ramifications. Okay, Rockies fire Bud Black after brutal start. They name Warren Schaefer the interim manager. The Colorado Rockies fired manager Bud Black and bench coach Mike Redmond on Sunday. Third base coach Warren Schaefer is now the interim manager, and hitting coach Clint Hurdle will serve as the interim bench coach. I like that. I like the fact that Clint is going to stick around. He took over as the hitting coach. I believe he took over for Hensley Mullins, and has been working with the guys, trying to get some offensive production. I don't know what to tell you guys. Look, the Rockies are dog shit. They are really, really fucking bad, man. And it does. I saw somewhere where it was like, look, Casey Stengel is not going to be able to help this team. So if I'm Bud Black and I just got fired by the Colorado Rockies, my first question would be, where do I send the thank you letter? Because this is not a job that anybody is going to enjoy in this moment. They have guys out, they have guys hurt, they have young up and coming stars that we still have no idea if they'll ever be a star. It's just a fucking mess in Colorado. Now, they got some dudes. They really do. And they showed some fight yesterday in Bud Black's last game, a night after getting trounced 21-0. They came back and won 9-3. This was one of the better bets in baseball all year because you knew that the Rockies players were going to rebound. Look, these guys are big leaguers, or at least they're pretending to be. But any given day, even the worst big league teams win a quarter of the time. And the absolute best big league teams only win 60% of the time. So something's got to give. I think yesterday on the road, San Diego was like minus 350. Just something so ridiculous. So good for Bud Black getting relieved of his duties. That is fantastic. I know Bud Black is good friends with Matt Toomey, a good buddy of mine who owns Toomey's out there in Mammoth. So, Bud, go on out there and visit Matt and then maybe go catch one of Matt Man's games. Matt Man is Matt Toomey's son, who I've talked about on the program before, playing baseball at Long Beach State right now. Hit his second home run of the season. This guy should be a top 3-round pick in, 2-3 years from now. Legit. Fucking legit. I love his story. From Mammoth High School, all-around athlete, played very little travel ball. TJ Bruce over at Long Beach State got wind of him. He was going to go to community college, ends up getting a scholarship to go to Long Beach, and has shown up there and pretty much has started all year in some variation. Hasn't started every single game, but he's been a huge force in that Long Beach State lineup. And he's willing to make adjustments. That's what I love about Matt, man. I spent one night on the phone with him after he had a couple punchies, and we watched his game. I was in Mammoth with his father, and I'm like, look, dude, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things happening, a lot of head movement, and he's crazy athletic, 6'3", 6'4", tall, lean, looks like Cody Bellinger. I'm like, dude, let's just simplify. Let's spread out a little bit, simplify, go to the two-strike approach. That's where I saw his best swings. And since then, I know he's been doing a lot better. So Bud Black was always a proponent of Matt Man as well. It was good for Toomey to be able to lean on some guys with a little experience in MLB. Okay, let's move on here. This one kind of wacky. So Astros pitcher Lance McCullers Jr. Pitched the other night. It was his second start back from missing damn near 3 years. It says Houston Astros starter Lance McCullers Jr. said he and his family received threats on social media following his poor outing during Saturday's 13-9 loss against the Reds. An Astros spokesman said the team notified both the Houston Police Department and Major League Baseball security about the threats towards McCullers, a 31-year-old right-hander who made his second start of the season Saturday. Quote, it's been a tough evening, McCullers said. I understand people are very passionate and people love the Astros and love sports, but threatening to find my kids and murder them is a little bit tough to deal with. Astros manager Joe Espada began the post-game news conference with an impassioned opening statement in which he revealed the threats. Quote, I just left my office and it's very unfortunate that there are people who are threatening his life and the life of his kids because of his performance, said Espada, who at one point slammed the desk in anger. Okay, I'm going to say this. Obviously, I'm not condoning the threats. Whoever is threatening him is a fucking idiot. a lot of times this stuff would be done by high school kids, right? Just talking shit, using some anonymous account, trying to get a rise. Well, they got a rise. And then it became this huge story. I do wholeheartedly support McCullers going to the Houston Police Department, going to MLB Securities. And MLB Securities does a terrific job. I had a few different incidences through the course of my career and even after my career of interactions with fans where they got aggressive. And the one thing I would say is I'm not sure by the Astros or McCullers going public on this, I don't think this is helping. Because if anything, what's going to happen is this is going to encourage more dumbass teenagers whose frontal lobe has not completely developed to think, oh, look at this shit, man. What if we did this and did this? And it's fucking dumb. So I hope this person gets caught or people. I just kind of have a feeling it's like a group of kids getting together just saying dumb shit. And in all honesty, too, and this makes a lot of sense. No real fan gives a fuck this early in the year. They just don't. And especially for a guy that's been away for 3 years, just working his way back to try to get healthy. So that's what makes me think this thing's as bogus as ever. And once again, I'm not making light of it. And nor do I think McCullers should, because there's some harsh words we just saying about talking about killing your kids and everything else, whatever. But in the future, right, you don't want to give it something any more energy than needed. So you give the information to the authorities. You have them relentlessly track down who this person or people might be, and then you pay them a visit, which is what MLB Securities did for me and the Phoenix Police Department, who I will be forever grateful for. It was, again, it's cool to know that MLB and MLB Securities and local authorities have your back like that. But, as far as McCullers is concerned, dude's coming off of like just so long without pitching. So you got to give him some leeway. Now, and then again, he's going to make his next start. The question becomes, okay, if he's struggling that badly, why doesn't he just, I don't know, put him on the Phantom IL? He go make a few more starts in the minor leagues to try to get dialed in. The big leagues isn't really the spot where you should be trying to figure shit out. So I always loved McCullers. I worked with him back in the day. I did a whole thing. Remember, he had that nasty curveball, riding four-seam fastball. Really fun to watch this guy pitch. He threw, I mean, even back when he was in the height of his career, I would say like 70, 80% curveballs is something astonishing. All right, last thing here, college baseball rankings. LSU takes the series versus Arkansas. They replace the Hogs atop the pool. I mean, this is getting exciting. Postseason college baseball coming up. We have a new number one team for the fifth time this season and the fourth time in the past 6 weeks. LSU, which took 2 or 3 from Arkansas in Baton Rouge, replaces the Razorbacks as the top team in the country. Florida State, which won a series at Cal. Isn't that crazy? I was thinking, like, when did Florida State ever play Cal? Well, they're both in the ACC now. They won their series in Berkeley. I just mentioned they move up to number 2. Texas, still atop the SEC by 2 games, is number 3. That's interesting. So Texas is the number 1 team in the SEC, but they're number 3 in the poll. They lost a series at home to Florida, and then Arkansas and North Carolina round out the top 5. Oregon and Alabama jump into the top 10. The Ducks following a weekend sweep over Washington, and the Tide after taking a series from Georgia in Tuscaloosa. They replaced Clemson, which lost a 3rd straight series, and Tennessee, which lost 2 of 3 at home to Vanderbilt. Okay, so here is your top 25. You guys ready? I'll go reverse order. It's always fun to do that. Dallas Baptist, 3-0 on the week, 36-13 overall. West Virginia, 1-3 on the week, 40-10 overall. After a 1-3 week, they're having a good year. Louisville, 2-2 on the week, 34-17. They're at 23. TCU, 35-16 is at 22. Ole Miss is 34-17 at 21. UCLA, a 3-1 week gets them into the top 20. They're 34-17 overall. They were 22 last week. Duke, 35-16 overall, had a good week. They were 3-1. Southern Miss at 18, 3-0, 38-13. At 17 is Florida. They went 2-2. They're 35-18. How about UC Irvine? 4-0, 38-11 overall. I know UC Irvine played Long Beach State, so obviously didn't go great for Long Beach State. I do know that Matt Man hit a fucking nuke, though, because that was sent to me. So good for our dude, Matt Toomey. Clemson, 1-3 on the week. They're at number 15 now, so that's a big drop. They were number 8 last week. They're 38-15 overall. How about Coastal Carolina, 4-0 on the week, 41-11 overall record. Tennessee, 2-2 on the week. They are 39-13. Oregon State, 3-0-1 on the week. Get to get that tie in there. They're now 37-12-1. NC State, 2-1 on the week. They're 32-16. They're at number 11. Then rounding out the top 10. Alabama is at number 10. Oregon at number 9. I just mentioned that. Oregon was 5-0 on the week. Damn. They went from 14-9. Auburn, 3-0 on the week. They're at number 7. I think I skipped over Vandy at number 8. Vandy was 2-2 on the week. Georgia, 1-2 on the week, is 40-13 now. North Carolina up there. Holy shit, man. 2-1 on the week, 37-11 overall. Arkansas, 1-2 on the week, 41-11 overall. Texas, Tejas, 2-2 on the week, 40-10 overall. Florida State, 36-11 overall, 3-1 on the week. They are your second-ranked team in the country. And then LSU, the Tigers, 40-12 is their overall record. So we have postseason college baseball. I know it's starting for Nevada. I'm not sure about the other conferences, but it's always nice to keep track of that as we get towards Omaha, my favorite time of year, obviously, in college baseball. Okay, everyone have a fantastic day. Back at you tomorrow with the Daily Hustle. Thrill off this week, so he will not be with us tomorrow night. But I will say we will work hard to try to get a guest host for tomorrow night. The Giants, I believe, are at home. Yeah, I've only hit some scores from yesterday. They lost to the Twins. They got swept by the Twins. I should have fucking won that. Yeah, they lost 7-6 to the Twins, and they were back home playing the Diamondbacks with Justin Verlander on the mound tonight. So you got Milwaukee at Cleveland, Boston at Detroit, St. Louis at Philly, Pittsburgh at New York Mets, Washington at Atlanta, Miami at the Cubs, Colorado at Texas, Kansas City at Houston, Anaheim at San Diego. Battle of the SoCal teams. The Yankees go from Oakland to Seattle. I say Oakland. They were in Sacramento to Seattle, and then Arizona at San Francisco. Those are all the games tonight. That's it. Everyone have a great day. By the way, Stormy Byrnes weather report. It's fucking snowing outside. It's tough to believe, but here, let me try to get you guys a little picture. I don't know if you can see it, but it's currently, let's see what it says here, 38 degrees and snow. This is wild. May the 12th. Last year on Cinco de Mayo, we got a foot, and I ripped down the mountain and then played pickleball later in the day. So Uh, yeah, crazy weather. I know coming up the south too. So everyone stay safe out there. All right. Have a great day. See ya.